So the House of Representatives just shut down to let their members calm and find their zen regarding the whole Epstein debacle. Before we get into this, real quick, if you're new here, my name is Satan's Little Side Piece. I provide political commentary, I do humor, I do a little bit of everything. It's like a flea market. There's something for everybody. And with that said, make sure that you like, share, follow, and hell, leave a comment or two. Let's have a discussion when you reach the end of this video. So this is a little bit of a bait and switch here. Before we get into why the House shut down, like the real nitty gritty of it, I think we need to look at what led us here to this insanity, this refusal to do their fucking jobs, this unapproved additional vacation time. And I think we can call this what it is. Clearly, this is a coordinated meltdown. They are throwing every salacious headline they can to clog up your news feed and redirect your outrage at their lack of action and transparency. Let's look at how this week they decided to throw officially Jerome Powell under the bus. You know, the head of the Federal Reserve that is independent of the president and Congress. And what is it, pray tell, that they're filing a criminal referral for? Countertops and rooftop gardens. Architecture. And of course, they also have tried to dust off the old beef between Comey and Trump. But I don't think this was really a beef officially until after we saw Comey's daughter fired, and she was one of the leading prosecutors on Mr. Diddley Diddler's case in New York, the criminal case. Because now they're calling for Comey, as in her dad, and Brennan and a couple other people to be investigated over intelligence manufacturing, I guess. Which brings me to a really wild distraction was Tulsi Gabbard saying that they need to come after President Barack Obama for his role in treason and information during the 2016 election, the one that Trump won. This isn't even logical. This is not even logical. And of course, we saw also, while this other madness was going on, Trump launched his huge $10 billion suit against the Wall Street Journal, whose owner, Rupert Murdoch, was like, fuck it, double down. So on top of the, you know, the kind of creepy card that he allegedly sent to Epstein, they're now releasing other conversations and reporting. Like I warned you all about in a previous video, Trump could really lose big on this because it's going to force them to examine the circumstances, the people, everything around all of the details in this reporting. Very stupid move by Mr. Trump. And then we saw the cancellation of the late night show. I know a lot of people think that this is directly pressure by Trump onto CBS because they lost that suit and owe him like millions, right? I think it actually has to do with the fact that the parent company of CBS, they need to get FCC approval for some of their other programmings on different channels that they own. So they're kissing ass to get those approvals. Criminal referrals, the lawsuits, the media, you know, influence, the show trials that they want to start up in front of committees and charges in courts too, apparently. Yeah, all of that led up to this final blowout in the House of Representatives. Representative Massey Incana had co-authored a bill called, I have to look at my notes here, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And they had all the Democrats and at least a dozen Republicans willing to get on board with this. And of course, Johnson and Scalise and a couple others were just like, nah, we're just going to bury this shit. We're not going to bring it to the floor. Fuck. So he was like, dude, I can go get a discharge motion. I got all the support I need for that. And so Johnson gets in front of the media and says, look, we're letting the courts do their thing. And the courts are doing their thing. In fact, the court said that we're going to rule on this expeditiously. Okay? Keep that in mind. But he's like, look, we're just going to let everybody simmer down. We're all going to, you know, process this information that we're dealing with and like all of these backpedaling excuses. And then he said, yeah, but we're going to shut down and go into recess early by like a week. Again, unauthorized early taking of vacation. This is basically what they had to do to avoid being forced to vote on this. But what's interesting about this, though, is that when you go into this, you know, bill, you'll see that one of the conditions they have is a deadline of 30 days from when the bill's passed to get this file information out to the public. So it was giving people plenty of time to process things. But what's also ironic is that the discharge motion, it takes 7 legislative days before it can be brought up and voted on and go into effect, which means that that wouldn't have happened until September when they were back in session anyway. They didn't need to fucking shut anything down. They just don't want to look like the fucking lecherous, ass-covering assholes that they are with protecting P3DOs on this list, whoever they may be, whatever their affiliations may be. It's really weird that, again, they're calling this like a Democratic hoax and all this other nonsense, but it's like, that's awfully strange because it was the Republicans saying almost a decade ago that the Democrats would be scared of this list being released. We'd be so scared of it because so many people would go to prison as a Democrat. None of this adds up, and it looks very, very weak. So again, why are we running? Why are you shutting it down? Clearly, this isn't about transparency, procedure, or even victims' privacy. I think that's really what's insulting about this. This is clearly about control of the narrative, control of the exposure, right? Control of the fallout. They'll throw Powell under the bus, Sean Comey, they'll charge Obama, release hundreds of thousands of files about Martin Luther King Jr., from FBI surveillance. They're going to sue the press and try to force late night shows to be canceled. Anything to give you a circus to stare at and, get you to stop looking at Epstein's files. I think it's pretty clear that when these names come out, there's going to be a lot of very powerful people on there. And I think that's why they're running. Thanks for watching. Like, share, follow, please.